in the middle of the G.E.I.E forest, close to Namur, hides one of the strangest chateaux in Belgium. In the second half of the 19th century, the Count of Liedekerke-Beaufort decided to build Miranda, a romantic chateau with gigantic dimensions which he would make his summer residence. Miranda mixed styles wildly, and once completed in 1907, after 50 years of work, it resembled no other chateau except perhaps that of Sleeping Beauty. ARTE is an adept of urbexing, a word which means urban exploring. Sometimes at the limit of the law, urbexers get into abandoned places which are forgotten but powerful.
It's the 20th time I've come to the Chateau of Noisy. It's quite dark today. That's not so bad. It gives the place a special atmosphere, one I haven't felt. On each of my visits, I find something new, like, for example, those scowling faces you can see there below the arch. Here is the entrance hall, which is quite typical of the chateau, with its fine columns and the blue ceilings, which made its reputation. It's quite majestic. The monumental staircase, which has been attacked recently, unfortunately the banister was destroyed just a few days ago. It was really horrible to see the staircase, which was really severely damaged. I said to myself that to give it back a little dignity, I was going to lift up the stairs and put them back in place. I spent half a day doing that, but I was quite satisfied to have done it because seeing it in the state that it was in was just impossible.
Miranda is a labyrinth of over 100 rooms joined by countless galleries, staircases, and corridors.
What's interesting to see are the trees which have started to grow inside the chateau. Nature is slowly starting to take over.
The owners of Miranda are tired of the extraordinary and overlarge domain, too expensive to maintain.
Here we are in quite a special place. This is where there was the fire in 1991. Starting from there, the chateau started its long decline. Even though it had been abandoned for a long time, it was still in good condition until then. At this window, we can see the forest, which is outside the chateau on the domain. And when you turn your head here, you can also see the forest and the domain inside the chateau. This place is quite special to me because it was the first Urbex site for me. It's this that gave me the passion for doing Urbex. You feel really very small beside this chateau, a little cut off from the world, and those are things I like a lot. I think that the Chateau of Noisy was classed #1 a few years back as the most beautiful abandoned place in the world, because it's very characteristic, because of these turrets which give it the air of, I was going to say haunted chateau, but really it's a fairy tale chateau.
Miranda has become ghost-like, the setting for several films.
The Urbexer philosophy is that if you feel an affinity with the building, if the soul of the building touches you, then you systematically do things with respect, damage nothing. Just take a few photos. Unfortunately, besides the Urbexers, the chateau has regularly been the victim of vandals who wish to smash what's left inside.
Open to the elements, Miranda has become a meeting place for people who get up to all sorts of things. For safety reasons, the site is closed and access is forbidden. After the war, the chateau became a children's holiday camp, which Danielle knew well.
Do you hear the birds?
Yes, yes, I can hear them quite clearly now.
You can feel it's spring.
Yes, I understand.
Wait, there's another sound.
What's that?
When I was a kid here, there were lots of squirrels.
Yes?
Really, you could see them jumping from tree to tree. It was wonderful. Our own red squirrels.
Finally, between the time you were a child here and the time you were a councillor here, how many years was that, do you think?
Wait.
More or less.
I came here as a child in 1963, 64, and I came back as a councillor in the 80s.
Ah, yes.
It's beautiful anyway, even like this.
Time has passed, but it always leaves the same impression.
Time goes by, but memories remain. And the emotion is part of the memory. It's a part of me.
Yes, it's a part of the tear rolling down your left cheek.
Yes, it's crazy, isn't it? I was a kid. And look at the state of the castle. It was wonderful. We'd arrive here. You see, it was really nicely cared for. There was a lawn here. And you can't see it in this picture, but there was a magnificent wooden door that's no longer here.
When the children left, a wide variety of animals took over the domain.
Danielle, we're going inside now. Helmet.
Yes, in case things come falling down on our heads. Look.
Yes, I can see the door.
Wow.
There, I suppose you can feel something.
Wow, look at this. It's so damaged. Everything's broken. René, this was one of the classrooms. Unreal. Well, you see all of this. What a shame.
I've seen chateaux in this state that have been restored. They've been restored.
This used to be our office.
This battle for the chateau of Noisy, I've been fighting it for 4 years. It's a superb chateau. It's heritage. It has to be protected, defended and saved. It's a neo-Gothic chateau, pretty much unique in Wallonie. Today, the fight's taken a new direction because the owner has signed a demolition contract with a firm.
There are around 70 people in front of the gates to protest against the demolition and say no one last time.
3 days later, they began. They took down the turrets, and once the turrets were gone, it meant that water could get in. It meant that the stone would literally shatter because of the ice, obviously. Since the turrets were there, you can see how, unfortunately, humans have come, you might say, to attack the chateau. The organization is aiming to preserve the exterior, the facades of the chateau, and to transform it into a romantic ruin. That is, ruins that you'd come and visit. When you have a chateau like Noisy, it's something I'd wish for everybody. In front of another abandoned chateau. So, as to protect the place, I put chains as well as a barricade. I'd like to buy the place one day so I can protect it more effectively.
ARTE doesn't want to say where the place of his dreams, which he wants to protect, might be.
And this is the reason why I closed the place up. Urbexers can be seen as whistleblowers because they generally uncover abandoned buildings, but most of the time these buildings have a story.
Some buildings have burned along with their pianos, and this metamorphosis has turned them into real works of art.
The Urbexers allow the building to live, shall we say, a minimum through photos, but they can't go any further. The authorities need afterwards to realize how beautiful the sites are and to save them after that. Here we're in an Urbex place where the owners have found a good compromise, because during the week the place is open for photos and in the weekend it's simply closed.
Apart from the local wildlife which has returned in force, some of the exotic birds which lived in the aviary, such as these golden peacocks, have nested and colonized the chateau as well. In the United States, in New Orleans, when the attraction park Six Flags opened in 2000, it had an immediate success. The public was impatient after watching, day after day, gigantic roller coasters in steel and wood rise up, as well as super rides which drew attention and promised to thrill. The good times lasted 5 years.
When Six Flags was really rolling, we had 100,000 visitors plus. Sometimes this parking lot would be filled with cars. 12 years ago, we had a hurricane which flooded this area. It was a tremendous storm. Hurricane Katrina had more of an impact with flooding probably than the damage. A few years ago, this area would be packed with people and families trying to get into the park so that they could have a good time. A lot of noise of children, which was great noise. Some of these buildings were so nice. It's very sad because at one time this was a plaza that was filled with people selling gifts here, selling ice cream here. Hopefully one day it'll come back.
The 57 hectares of the park are in a flood zone, and this has stopped reconstruction work.
Unfortunately, obviously it's overgrown 12 years later, and it's got vegetation instead of a beach. That vegetation holds wildlife, rabbits, boars, and alligators. It's a dangerous place to stay, and that's why access is prohibited to the general public.
An immense flooded ruin inspires all adventure lovers. The park quickly became an attraction for urbexers from Louisiana and elsewhere. For safety reasons, the town council ended the contract with the operator and took back control of the site. Security guards now patrol night and day.